Guys, we got some shocking news out of China right now. NIO China gets more money, more financing from the government. All right. Quite a lot of money, actually. All right. And this is a dilution to NIO China, not to NIO Inc., not to get confused with the two of them. NIO Inc. owns like 90% of NIO China. NIO China is basically NIO. Okay. And NIO Inc. is the publicly listed company in the US that you guys and us were all buying stocks of. Okay. And this is, of course, once again showing great support from the government here in China, that they are supporting NIO, giving NIO more money. But of course, the value of this deal is kind of interesting. So we'll talk a bit more about this, but I have another big news, and that is the fact that NIO houses are starting to become open to the public, just like they are in Europe. In Europe, you don't have to be a NIO owner to go into a NIO house and sort of hang out and have a nice coffee or enjoy the Joy Camp with your kid. Here, they're starting to open up NIO houses and kind of not making it a privilege for NIO owners, but a sort of an area that everybody can have access to and sort of relax, which is very, very interesting, because there was a whole lot of debate and kind of argument about whether or not Envo owners should be allowed into NIO houses. And then for the whole time, it was like, no, they cannot go into NIO houses. And that's kind of like, they kind of felt discriminated, right? And like, how come like we can't go into NIO houses? Right? Well, of course, you're not a NIO owner, right? But now they're kind of opening it up. And this is, of course, all with the aim of driving traffic into the stores. If you go into NIO houses like shamelessly for more than 10 plus times and you're not a NIO owner and you're enjoying, the sofas and everything over there, you might be enticed to buy a car, right? That's the whole idea behind this. Of course, they're also trying to sell more drinks and sell more, snacks and stuff. It's kind of like becoming like those kind of public resting loungers, so to speak. Is this very good? I think it's going to be very nice for a store walk-in, get more people into the stores, and of course create a even better impression of NIO with these prospective customers. And of course, the whole entire debate, can Envo owners go into NIO stores? Can Firefly owners go into NIO stores? They've been debating about this for a long time, and finally, the answer is yes. Everybody can go into NIO houses. So that's going to be very, very nice. Of course, that also means you might have some people that shouldn't be in NIO houses, that are in NIO houses, maybe like some grandmas, and not to say anything bad about grandmas, but maybe like some grandmas that are definitely not going to buy the car, and maybe they're not, they're there to pick up trash or something like that. There's lots of that going on, and they're in the NIO house. That definitely might happen as well. But we'll have to wait and see how things pan out. So that's pretty good news. Of course, the NIO China dilution / fundraising, 5% dilution of NIO China. So they're offering 5% more shares. I shouldn't say 5% dilution, 5% more shares. And then in return, they get 2.8 billion RMB. And it turns out the investors have Hefei government background. So it's basically the government investing in NIO once again. And of course, we saw from my previous video that there's actually strong subsidy support from them as well. They're giving out 6,000 to 10,000 RMB in subsidy, specifically for battery swap cars when you can buy one. So basically NIO, if you buy a NIO, you get subsidy. And then of course, they're also pumping money directly into NIO via this fundraising. All right, so 5% dilution of NIO China for 2.8 billion RMB, which translates to about 364 million US dollars. All right, for 5% of NIO China. Now, if you do some rough math, all right, 5%, if you times that by 20, you get 100%. So that kind of implies that you have a valuation of NIO China of around 7.7 billion US dollars, which is, well, if you guys are aware, that's under the market cap right now of NIO at around 9 billion US dollars. So it seems like the government has gotten a very good deal, right? It seems like they've gotten a very good deal. But at the same time, remember, that's the market cap of NIO Inc. and not the market cap of NIO China. I know it's very confusing. NIO Inc. owns 90% of NIO China. So if you're strictly saying like that, 9 billion market cap, and then that's about 90% of NIO China shares. So NIO China should be worth maybe around 10 plus billion dollars, US dollars. And they're getting like only 364 million US dollars for 5%. So yeah, I think yeah, they should have gotten more money, to be honest. Yeah, but nonetheless, this is a very good deal for the government, and perhaps for NIO themselves, that, well, I wouldn't say it's a bad deal. Well, money is money, right? Financing is financing, and it's good for at least a quarter, right? Like 1 quarter of performance, 1 quarter they lose about 700 million US dollars. So that's going to help them with maybe a little bit more than half a quarter, maybe 1 quarter if you're stretching it. So definitely very, very good news indeed with this financing. And it shows the willingness of the government to support NIO. And last year, they recently did another round of fundraising from the government, injecting money into NIO China specifically. Now, the whole deal with NIO China, it seems like NIO Inc.'s ownership of NIO China is decreasing and decreasing and decreasing. And while NIO China is getting more and more money, right? Which is very, very interesting. And I wonder if they're actually going to go public here in China, because they were supposed to go public with the original investors, the government, Hefei government investors, but then NIO Inc. increased their stake of NIO China almost up to like 95%, and then there was no need for NIO China to go public. But now NIO Inc.'s ownership of NIO China has decreased now below 90%. So could there be a possibility for NIO China to go public here in China, so that those investors that own like 10 plus percent of NIO China can finally cash out and profitably? Very, very likely. Very, very likely. And I think they should absolutely list here in China to get a better, I guess, financial grasp here in China, to be able to have access to the Chinese capital markets. And in that essence, that would help, investor optimism here in China would help boost the value of NIO China. And in return, NIO Inc. might also follow suit, right? If NIO China here has a lot of hype and people buy the stock, and NIO China stock price and market cap is very, very high, maybe let's say $20 billion, then that doesn't make sense for NIO Inc. to only have a market cap of $9 billion. NIO Inc. should be $18 billion in market cap, right? That's the analogy that I'm making. So if you look at it that way, and here in China, you're not allowed to short stocks, so people can only buy. So that means you're going to have like very good upwards momentum if NIO China was listed here in China, right? And that's going to, make everything a lot more valuable for U.S. investors as well. If a company is worth $20 billion and you own 90% of the company, right, then you should be worth $18 billion, right? So that's the analogy that I'm making. So definitely very, very good that NIO got more money, NIO China got more money. But, I think the government got a really good deal. Yeah, NIO probably could have asked for more money with that deal, but we'll see. And hopefully very soon we can get through this tough period of transition and then get those cars on the road, the new 2025 version, and be able to deliver a lot more vehicles and turn profitable in Q4. Yeah, that's the goal. That's what they're targeting. As always, stay safe, stay healthy. Peace out.